This channel is supported by Truefire.
Stop all that. The Truefire All Access membership, they've brought the price down for March Madness, they're calling it. So the cheapest you can get it any time of year is $99. It beats the codes that I normally tell you about. So I just wanted to shout that out here. So you get All Access membership for $99 for the year. You know, get into your Tim Millers, your Robin Fords, there's Larry Carlton stuff on there, there's Eric Johnson stuff on there. Like, all of our favourite players seem to have Truefire courses. Check that out. March Madness, it's mad. So I've been someone who's sort of talked about K Line guitars as being my favourite guitars an awful lot. One of the questions that I've kind of had in my head, I've owned a few Fender Custom Shop. No, I've not. I've owned one Fender Custom Shop guitar. It was a Fiesta Red Relic guitar. I played my buddy Jake's. He's got one as well. And then more recently, this came into the house. This belongs to Anthony. He is selling it if you're interested. But this is a 59 limited edition custom shop, so it'd be about like $4,500 new, I think. And the question for me is like, do these guitars that I'm playing really stack up to being as good as a Fender Custom Shop? Because it's something that I've read in forums a lot, and the price is one of the key kind of differentiators. Do the guitars stack up all right to a custom shop? Is basically my question, what I'm trying to answer in this video. In terms of affiliation, I bought this Danocaster, and I bought each of these K Line guitars that I'm going to be playing in this video before I knew Chris at K Line, and you know, these are the ones that I play most as well. So, you know, he's occasionally sent me some guitars, but these ones I play anyway. probably what I think K Line and Danocaster don't do as well as Fender. The whole package feeling here. So you kind of, when you open up a Fender Custom Shop guitar, you get all of this kind of regalia. You get like the feeling that you're buying into like the history of guitar. And, you know, in some cases, you maybe, you know, it is just a guitar. But at the same time, this is made in a factory in Corona. You know, they've still got some of the machines that Leo initially had in his shop. So there is history here. Not only that, but each part of the guitar is actually made by Fender in that Fender Custom Shop, apparently. So, like, they're even milling these parts. They got, you know, a press for pressing all these metal parts. Like, even the neck plates are stamped there, and it's kind of an interesting thing. I did a video on it just this morning, kind of looking at it. So I think that is the part, to be honest, that does make the Fender Custom Shop experience stand out. You know, when you're looking at something like this, you know, like a case specifically with the Fender Custom Shop embroidery in there, with the case candy, you know, a strap and certificate of authenticity. That part of what Fender and Gibson do, I think, is pretty much unmatched. But I don't think you can really necessarily match it if you're not Fender or Gibson. Now, a Danocaster is basically a $4,000 proposition, I think, something like that. The K Lines in the UK, I think, are about $2,900. I think you might get them for slightly better prices in America. For everything else except that, and maybe, I think in some cases, because it has that Fender decal on there, to some extent the relicking as a package seems to work a bit better, because there's like some amount of like it just works for your eye a bit better. Other than that, what I think is, on the whole, a K Line or a Danocaster is going to compare very favourably to the average Fender Custom Shop. So there are a few elements that I think K Line and Danocaster, from speaking to them, are able to do. Because they don't build as many guitars as the Fender Custom Shop, they are able to be a bit more selective in terms of the wood they use. Now you'll see, for instance, on the Traveller for that Fender, that it is sorted for lightweight alder. It still weighs £7.13. My K Line here is £7.7. The other one is about that. This Nacho is under £7. These are really pretty lightweight examples compared to what I see coming out from Fender these days. Apparently, it's not that easy to come by Southern Ash anymore, and alder, modern alder, is a little bit on the heavy side too. So if you're building guitars in great quantities like Fender and the Fender Custom Shop, the guitars kind of, on average, have to be a little bit heavier. Whereas if you're, you know, Chris at K Line or Dan at Danocaster, you know, you can be a little bit more selective. You're not making things at the same sort of scale. The other thing is, in terms of sheer playability, this is hard to compare because this guitar has like actual 8 years of wear on it. So I'll do it with this one instead, which has slightly less wear on it. But I would say that the K Lines, to me, I think on average that I've played, do feel, I think, a little step above the Fender Custom Shops in terms of playability, I think. And that's probably why I kept my K Lines over that Fender Custom Shop at the time that I had. Played my buddy Jake's got a really nice Fender Custom Shop. It's not to say that the Fender Custom Shops can't be great too, but I'm just saying I've played more K Lines, and I think I'd trust that coming out of his workshop, I think I'd trust the K Line more, having played a bunch of them. Similarly with the Danocaster thing, you know, the relicking is a little bit more subtle in some ways than you get out of the Fender Custom Shop in some ways. But because it doesn't have Fender on the headstock, the whole package is not necessarily so authentic feeling, is kind of how I feel about it. But do these things really play as good as the Fenders? I think the answer, having played a few, think the answer is yes. And not only that, I've just been chatting in the DMs to someone who's got a couple of Fender Custom Shops and has found they've got like a bit of a stiff feel, whereas this Danocaster, I think this might be something to do with neck angle, maybe. This has a really slinky feel. My K Lines have a really slinky feel. So they have like a more springy feel to them. I don't know if it's partly down to neck shape, because this is like a D shape versus the medium C of the two K lines. But I would be inclined to say that I think I prefer the playing feel of the K Lines and the Danocaster. So there's kind of my take on it. If you look at the relicing compared on some of these guitars, I think the body Fender do really well. This is a Journeyman relic. This is a Danocaster. The neck on this one, I think, looks a little bit strange because it's kind of just got no finish. Sanded off, so that looks a little, because this wood here hasn't been aged particularly, versus like the Danocaster, which has, you know, there are varying levels of Fender aging, but I think the Danocaster is a little bit more on the subtle side. But as I say, the looks of a Fender guitar cannot really be beaten. I think, yeah. So all that to say, really, I do think that for the money, the K Line and the Danocaster guitars, I think, would be my pick. However, something that's going to hold its value more or be easier to sell, quite possibly the Fender Custom Shop stuff. I don't know, I feel like that over time is maybe going to hold its value better than, you know, boutique builders, just because I imagine the Fender name is going to be something that remains relevant. So as much as I don't necessarily think the guitars are worth twice as much as pure instruments, there is other stuff going on here to make that not a bad choice. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you a Fender Custom Shop enjoyer, or are you one of the boutique builder enjoyers? And what makes you make that choice? You know, like, you get a gig bag with a Danocaster. Like, all of the work is on the guitar itself, whereas with Fender, you get a whole song and dance in addition, which I guess is part of why you pay the extra. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Cheers for stopping by.